Go over the roles. So Tom is our grammarian. Tom, can you let us know what the grammarian does?
My job as grammarian is to listen, and to listen for abuses of the English language or things that may not make logical sense. I'm also responsible for the word of the day, and whoever got that, thank you very much. The word is spitballing, and there are 3 definitions. The first 2 are probably most well known. Number 1, paper chewed and rolled into a ball to be thrown or shot as a missile. That's spitballing. Second is a baseball pitch delivered after the ball has been moistened with saliva or sweat, which we also know is legal. Spitballing. Oh, you got one there. Yeah, that was the 3rd definition. It's a presentation of ideas that may or may not be helpful to solving a problem. It's also, I think, of brainstorming. It's throwing ideas out.
Yeah, so. Okay, thank you, Tom.
Just for your information, when you find, we come up with meeting themes and words of the day, I'm trying to relate them to activities that happen within a reasonably short amount of time. For instance, Hank Aaron's birthday.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're relating Hank Aaron to spitballing?
Well, it's local heroes, and spitballing is a baseball term.
There you go.
So they all relate to baseball. All 3 relate to baseball. It's one of those strange ways. Strange ways of being on mind, you know, one of those kind of things.
Thank you, Lawrence, for the explanation, putting everything together. The next role is the table topics master. Olivia, can you explain this role?
Okay, so the table topics master is just a question time. I don't even know how to say this. Well, anyway, I will get up and ask a question. It's kind of impromptu, so whomever can respond to that question within 1 to 2 minutes. You'll also be counted on your ums and your grammatical errors, but it's just an opportunity for you to get up and just try yourself at just speaking. So it'll just be real common questions that you can answer. And anyone, including my guests, are allowed to participate and encouraged to participate.
All right, thank you, Olivia. The next role is the general evaluator. That's going to be Heather.
As general evaluator, I'll kind of keep track of the meeting and the flow and how things go, and just as things start on time, and I'll give a presentation about that at the end. And I'll also call up the evaluators for the speeches.
And the last role, well, the second last role is our timer, Cheyenne.
I'll be keeping time of everyone's speeches, and you'll get a green light when you've made the time, a warning when you're halfway there, and the red when you are about to go over time. So the main one most people need to know is the table topics will be 1 minute, and then you'll get the red at 2.
Thanks, Cheyenne. And finally, our odd counter.
The odd counter is, I just listen to the speeches, whether it be the impromptu table topics or a prepared speech, or as in tonight's case, our speech will be also impromptu. And I'll be listening for filler words. And just whenever a filler word is used, when it seems that you don't have the words to say. And I'll count those and give the report at the end.
All right, thanks, Olivia. Now we're going to move into our speeches. Luckily, we have Lawrence here today, who always has a pocket speech. He's come to the rescue, and he's going to be our first and only speaker. So let's welcome Lawrence for some pocket.
So we can do it 5 minutes?
5 to 7, yes. That'll work, unless you want me to take the 10 to 15, cover both. Does anybody have a particular idea that you want to present at this time that you would like me to elucidate on, or maybe just spitball for a bit?
He's really showing out.
Do I start the timer?
Yeah, you can start the time now.
Leadership.
Leadership. Well, there is something I know about. In life, Each one of us has to be some type of leader. There's always a point when there is going to be someone who needs to lead and someone who needs to follow. My fellow Toastmasters, you also must become good leaders. We'll understand that because that's a part of Toastmasters. Leadership and communication. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of people come to Toastmasters just to learn how to speak. But there is so much more to Toastmasters than just speaking. And there's so much more to speaking than just opening your mouth and letting words come out. So when you're talking about leadership, speaking is a critical point. It's actually, in my opinion, the single most important factor in leadership will be speaking. Now, why would I say that? There's actually a couple of things that you would want to understand about that. Speaking, you have to get your point across. Speaking, you have to educate those who are coming up. Speaking, you have to guide people in the direction that you want to go. So let's look at leadership through communication on how would you present your ideas. If you want to be a good leader, people have to know where you're going. If you want people to help you to get where you want to go, and I'll say this, you will never get where you want to go unless you get people to help you. But if you want people to help you get where you want to go, obviously you need to know where you want to go. But you also have to be able to communicate that to the people who are going to help you. So you want to be able to understand your own language enough to take that dream that's off in the clouds somewhere and bring it down to the dirt where those who are shoveling are going to be able to understand it. Because if you can't bring those seeds out of the clouds and put them in the ground, they are never going to grow into becoming what you want them to become. So, if you want to be a good leader, you have to communicate what it is that's your dream. Now, the second idea was communication. You have to be able to inspire, to get people to be in line, to help them to follow you or to work with you. And this is also a key part of that leadership communication. If you spitball all the time, well, maybe people will follow you, maybe they won't, because obviously if you're just pulling things out of the sky and hoping they're going to be what you want them to be, then obviously a certain amount of time you're not going to be in line with your own dream. So you want to be able to clearly help those people to not only, you now have them understanding what your dream is, but now you want to help to guide them, to inspire them, not just to know in their head what is the dream, but know in their heart what is the dream. Why are we fighting for this goal? Why are we trudging up the side of this mountain? And that is the second most important part of leadership through communication. Then we have the third part, which is guidance. Well, people now understand what the dream is. People know in their heart why they're trying to reach that goal. But if you ever want to get somewhere, there has to be a roadmap. So a good leader has to be that voice on the GPS. In half a mile, we're going to turn right on Happiness Avenue. You have to be able to guide people, and not just guiding them by saying, oh, go there, but giving them specific directions in a language that they can understand, in a way that they understand it, so that we can all move together. My fellow Toastmasters, I do want to emphasize once again, we all want to be leaders. And if we're going to be good leaders, we have to be able to communicate our dream, to communicate the heart and the spirit of our dream, and to guide those who are going to help us to achieve our dream. Mr. Toastmaster.
Well, Lawrence, if I didn't know that it was impromptu and a random request, I would have thought it was well prepared. Great speech, Lawrence. Thank you. So we only have one speaker tonight, so we're going to have an extended table topics, and Olivia is going to lead us in that. So it's welcome.
Hello, Toastmasters and honest guests. I am going to give you some topics and see which ones you would like to answer. So you want to come up. So this is how I did it. I just pulled out some things and then I gave them a little bit of a, so it's not like completely blindsiding you. I give them a little bit of, I guess, an explanation. So this is what I did. So we have very interesting, insightful, ouch, quick thinking, intimate thoughts, things that make you smile, and complaints. Shall I go over those again since we got a little time? And who wants to answer? Very interesting, insightful, ouch, quick thinking, intimate thoughts, things that make you smile, or complaint. Any volunteers? Okay, which one do you think you want?
Things that smile.
Things that make you smile. And that is question number 144. 144 is, where do you find peace?
The question I got was, where do I find peace? Well, there are many types of places that people might think, but the main place is really inside of you. That's where peace is really inside. There isn't just one place that you find peace. Like you might find peace in a library because it's silent. You might find peace in your man cave or your office. But to me, the main place that I find peace is inside of me. I always find time to actually talk to myself, talk to God, help me to actually understand what is going on each day. To me, what's kind of hard for me right now is that my uncle's in the hospital. It's not easy right now for me because he's fighting an infection. And he also has a lung cancer as well, so it's not very easy for me or for my father. But that does not mean that I always have to find time to go inside of me and just think out of my head, something that you just do internally. That's the place that I find peace. Thank you.
that was beautiful piece inside of me. Don't we all agree? Okay, so we have very interesting, insightful, ouch, quick thinking, intimate thoughts, things that make you smile, and a complaint. Which one do you want?
Just get ouch.
Well, that's the first thing I thought. So ouch is stealing to feed a starving child wrong? Isn't that
Stealing to feed a starving child. How would you explain the rest of that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is stealing to feed a starving child wrong?
Okay. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, that is an ouch. But if I'm just spitballing here, I would probably say, I mean, you have to feed that starving child. You just have to. At the same time, you want to instill and educate into that child that stealing is wrong, but there has to be some middle ground there, I think. I think that should be a situation that can be worked out, where if it does happen, that the rationale and the ideas behind it can be justified to a point. And I think there has to be a separation between the stealing for a situation like this and a starving child, or versus stealing out of just for spite, for fun, for wants and not needs. That is a tough question, but I think you have to feed the child, and if that's by stealing, then it is. But you have to learn the lesson that's going to go behind it, and ultimately that would lead you to find a more appropriate answer going forward.
I told you that one was an ouch. I thought about my kid's father. He said he wanted a big family, and so he had one. So anyway, he says, I tell you what, neither one of my kids are going to go hungry. If we have to sit in Walmart and go over and take up some chairs, he said, I'll figure out how I'm going to pay for it later on, but we're going to get us some turkey and some bread and some cheese, and we're going to sit in Walmart, and my kids will not starve. We'll talk to Walmart and figure out how we can pay for it. So yeah, that is a tough one. So I'll scratch out the list. Very interesting, insightful, quick thinking, intimate thoughts, and one more things. Oh, things that make you smile and a complaint. Very interesting, insightful. Go ahead.
Insightful.
Insightful. Okay. Okay, and the reason why I consider this one insightful, because you have a few seconds, but I know to come up with the answer. But maybe if you just shoot from the hip, you may think something may come out of your mouth that was really in your heart anyway, that you may need to do this. So the question is, are you holding on to something that you need to let go of?
Madam Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, am I holding on to something that I need to let go of? The quick answer is yes. I know there's a bunch of things that I'm holding on to that I need to let go. But the question for me that I'm asking myself is, which one of those things are most intense? I can't think of off the top of my head, besides someone in my past who rubbed me the wrong way. But I think, for the most part, I let it go. Maybe sometimes in my thinking that some incidents may pop up, but I think for the most part, for someone who I had a problem with in the past, I believe I can somewhat get along with the person. And if not, I could just move on without hate. But you can not hate a person, but still disassociate yourself with that person. So that's the one thing. If it's more intense than I think it is something that I need to let go of, that I may not have quite completely let go of. And that's in my process of spitballing, that's what I come up with, Madam Topic Master.
It does make you think for a minute, didn't it, Maurice?
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it's things that we need to hold on to, sometimes it's emotional baggage or our old sofa that you should have thrown away a long time ago. Or, I laugh sometimes at how sentimental people are, because I am a girl, but sentimental I'm truly not. So I do have a few pieces here and there, but it's not like if something happens to my mom's mink shawl, she's gone. It's not like I'm going to, oh, that's my mom's shawl. No disrespect for those that are, real emotional or sentimental. I'm just not. So sometimes we do hold on to things for different reasons. Okay, I want somebody to take this one, the thing that'll make you smile. And the goal is for you to get up here and speak it and not smile. So who wants to try that? Things that make you smile. I mean, if you think about it when you give your answer, how can you not smile? So who wants that? Things that make you smile. I'm listening, I'm waiting. Okay, we'll come back to it. Quick thinking, intimate thoughts, complaint,
I'll do quick thinking.
quick thinking. What did life teach you yesterday?
So I've been tasked with the question, what did I learn from life yesterday? So yesterday, well, I went to church and I heard a good sermon, so there's probably something I can take from that sermon that I learned. And I also spent a little time with my family, and a good life lesson. Oh, so this is simple now. So my new father-in-law and mother-in-law went to a yard sale, and they came across a electric blower and a edger. Well, I found out that the blower can also suck up leaves and blow leaves, and it works well. They got a good deal on it. So, yeah, it's not very deep, but it's a new piece of information that I learned yesterday.
Sometime goes, it's gonna become more important.
Okay, so we have interesting, intimate thought. Don't be afraid of that. It's not like I'm gonna. Things that make you smile. And I'd say it's a complaint, but maybe we should look at it as a complaint. So how much time do we have left before I just keep ranking?
16, and so we got
Oh, yeah.
4 more minutes.
Okay. All right, so we'll take one, maybe two more. Very interesting, intimate thought, things that make you smile, or a complaint.
I'll take a complaint.
Okay. 362 says, what's one downside of the modern day world?
I've got a complaint. One downside of the modern day world is overuse of screen time and people always being on their phones. It really drives me crazy. Now I'm just spitballing, but think about it. How many times have you looked at your phone since you've been here? Maybe not much for some of you, but people always have their phone now. Whenever I go to school, whenever I'm walking down the halls, people are always looking at their phone. And it drives me crazy. You would think that I would be looking at my phone a lot too, but I try not to. I have this app actually that shows me how much I use my phone, and I just think it can be kind of healthy, and it's a complaint that I have about the modern days, that people spend too much time looking at screens. So that is a complaint that I have.
Let it out, honey.
Miss Toastmasters.
Thank you. We have time for one more?
Yeah,
We have time for one more?
I'll take your not smiling challenge.
Okay. You got, get ready to smile now. So think of, no, think, happy thoughts. Let me read my question first. No, I'm just kidding. We'll find it first. What is your favorite time of the year?
I've been asked what my favorite time of year is, and I would have to answer this honestly and say I like all the times of year. I think each season has its pros and cons. I would, if I have to pick a least favorite, I don't dislike it, my least favorite is the cold. So my most favorite time is the warm season, which is 98% of the time in Mobile, Alabama, and then the 2 hours in the morning. I think that it's good to take each part of the year and find something good about it, or you will just be miserable for a whole season. Actually, I do have a favorite time. I love daylight savings time when it gets dark at 8 o'clock. I feel like I'm more productive. I have more time in my day to get things done. And I don't mind that it gets dark or stays dark later, and I have a hard time getting up in the morning because I don't want to get up anyways. My husband is the opposite. He likes it to be bright in the morning and then doesn't care that it's dark at nighttime. But my favorite is when the daylight savings time pushes us to be dark later at night.
I think we're out of time. We're gonna close on our table topics. And do we have time for more today?
And we could do one more since we have one back.
Anybody wants to just volunteer or write in?
I'll volunteer.
Okay, Mr. Hall? Okay, this is why I was gonna answer myself had you not volunteered, so I'll give it to you.
Oh,
And that one is, what personal prisons have you built out of fears? Very.
so my question is, what personal prisons have I built out of fear? It's an interesting question because my background, my entire career has been in sales. And I am not an outgoing person. I am an introvert. I can be a situational extrovert, but for the most part, I like to just keep it myself. There's an old saying that says that shy salesmen have skinny kids. My kids were skinny. And it's something that I think has held me back. I've been able to have a career, raise a family, send my kids to college, but having extra money was always a possibility when you're in sales because you just go out and sell more. But I'm an introvert and I have a hard time closing a sale would be the biggest problem that I have. So you have to be able to close the sale and ask for the order. And my philosophy was always, if I did a good enough job, they'll want to buy it from me anyway. I shouldn't have to ask for the order. It doesn't work that way. So that's something that's held me back from actually being better than I could have been. So that's the thing that is my prison.
Thank you very much. I think this is Toastmasters.
Great job, Olivia. Is that your first time, Olivia?
It is.
You did a great job.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
everyone, thanks for participating. As always, very fun to do the table topics. Now we're going to move into the evaluation period. Our general evaluator for tonight is Heather, so let's welcome her.
So the meeting went pretty well today. We did have a 5-minute recess, meaning we didn't start on time. And then after that, we had a few minutes of just club business. But the meeting as a whole flowed pretty smoothly. I really liked the table topics, so thank you, Olivia. It was pretty creative. and I think everybody really liked Lawrence's speech. With that, I'll go ahead and introduce the evaluator of Lawrence's speech, which is Cody.
So, I've been in Toastmasters for about 2.5 years, and this is the first time I've seen a speech acted as like a table topic. So we had a request, the audience gave Lawrence a topic, and he had to come up with a speech on the spot. So it was really interesting to see how this would play out, and of course Lawrence did a great job. So this speech, I'm going to give it a title, Leadership Through Communication. So that's kind of the main point that Lawrence was trying to get across. And I like the speech because he immediately related it back to us, right? We all are here for a reason to become better communicators and better leaders. And he made it a point that leadership with communication is really the ultimate form of getting people to follow you, and so you need both. You can't have one without the other. And I like that he mentioned that most people come just to improve the public speaking, but they're also getting great leadership through this club. So some of the technical stuff that I saw Lawrence do that was really good. He stepped away from the lectern, spoke over here some, got back in the front of the lectern, spoke over here. So that helps engage the audience, keeps us entertained. It's not just standing in one spot. So when he was talking about leadership, communication through like a vision or dream, he had a really good volume, animation in his voice, and he used that also when he was talking about to allow people to understand the dream and inspire them. I enjoyed the big hand gesture when you talked about dream here. It kind of caught my attention, and I typically don't see that big of a hand gesture out of your Lawrence, so that was nice to see that, and I think it added a lot to the speech. Major point about the dream, more of a focal point, so we can take that away as one of your points that you're trying to make. And then I like the voice change when you're doing the GPS impersonation. So that was a nice little bit of humor that you added there, and it brought the audience back in and kind of put forth your idea and set it into our minds. And then also at the end, when you slowed down, you kind of lowered your voice a little bit and reiterated the points. So you kind of went from the GPS joke and some volume, and then you wanted to reiterate, so you changed vocal pitch. So like get your point across. It doesn't have to be loud, as Lawrence demonstrated. You can the opposite, lower it a little bit and make it a little bit slower to get your final point across. And then I'm kind of stretching on this to find any critiques, but maybe a few time pauses to allow the audience maybe to ponder some of the ideas that you put across. But ultimately, the leadership through communication skills that you were trying to get across to us were really good, and they hit home, and I appreciated the speech. And it was a really good one, especially since you came up with it on the spot, so thank you, Lawrence. Now I will give it back over to the general evaluator.
To continue with the evaluation portion of our meeting, I'll now call on Cheyenne to give her report.
Lawrence, your speech was 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And then for table topics, Donovan, you had 1 minute and 40 seconds. Dawn, you had 1 minute and 28 seconds. Maurice, you were 1 minute and 45 seconds. Cody, 1 minute exactly. Heather, 1 minute and 2 seconds. Mine was 1 minute and 19 seconds. And Tom, you were 1 minute and 13 seconds. And then Cody, your speech evaluation was 3 minutes and 23 seconds.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Now we'll hear from Olivia on the all-counter report.
Donovan, I think you said but kind of like you had another thought, so you kind of like said but twice, kind of like close together, but no ahs or ums. Done, 0 for you. Maurice, none for you. Cody, I think you kind of had like a little, oh yeah, and he said, oh so, and then so kind of maybe, but it caught my attention. I was like, oh, he's got a thought, it's coming.
Good
But-
deal on a blower.
Yeah. Yeah. He was really excited about that, so he's like, oh, wait, I got something.
I can relate, man. That's good.
Heather, none for you. Cheyenne, none, and Tom, I think you had one.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Olivia. And lastly, we'll hear from Tom, our grammarian.
There was no major abuse of the English language. We had 4 people who did use the word spitballing: Lawrence, Don, Maurice, and Heather.
Okay, great. And with that, I will relinquish the lectern back to our Toastmasters.
So if no one has an educational overview, I'll pull something out of the Toastmaster magazine tonight. So this one's interesting. Yoga and public speaking. This kind of caught my attention. So it kind of goes over the essence of yoga and relates to the speeches. So they talk about breath, right? Breath's very important in yoga. It's kind of some of the first things you learn to inhale and exhale through all the movements, and pay attention to your breath with meditation. So this also helps with speaking. So when you get up here and you get anxious and you have that kind of pit in your stomach, just take a deep breath, try to breathe through the speech. Don't go too fast and lose your breath. Take pauses and breathe. And it's kind of important to maintain that, because if you start going too fast and get out of breath, it could kind of get out of control, and I think it could increase your nervousness. The next one is presence. So in yoga, they teach about being aware of your body and kind of how you feel and when you're doing these movements. So with speaking, see how they tie this in? So being aware of what's going on, right? The audience, your movements, your vocal tone, the environment, the lighting of the room. Just kind of take it all in. Don't get too distracted by all these things, but be aware of it. And I think the main thing is presence of your audience. Try to read the audience, see how they're taking your message. The good speakers can feel the audience and change and tweak as they go along to try to pull the audience back in. So I think that's really important to have presence. The third is posture. So in yoga, they talk a lot about alignment of the hips and feet, and posture is a big thing. So it takes a lot of time and practice to get the right posture. It might look easy from a picture, but they've actually spent a lot of time to perfect that posture. And also when you're speaking, you need to have a good, comfortable stance. You need to be aware of your hands, kind of what they're doing, and to kind of stand with, I guess, being comfortable. And some of the things it says: stop clasping the lectern, so the grip. Calmly handle props and gestures and visual aids. Move your body to reenact a story, kind of like what Lawrence did with the world and planting the seeds. Stand, smile confidently at the end of your speech, and receive your applause. So those are 3 ways yoga can relate to speaking. And that is the educational overview for tonight. Okay. Lawrence, do you have your award certificate tonight?
I don't have.
Okay, we can do it next week.
Which one are you giving me anyway?
Level 2.
Level 2.
So Lawrence hit his level 2 in pathways, so we'll give him a round of applause. And he can post for the Facebook picture next week.
You get silence next week.
Yeah, next week.
All right, so we're going to go over roles for next week. Does anyone want to volunteer for anything?
Well, I want to make an effort to get a speech, but
He'll go over there. He'll sign up on
yeah,
Easy Speak.
yeah.
If you
I'll do it. I mean, if I fail, then I'll take it off.
I'll make an effort to.
Okay.
I don't know where it's gonna fall in on my pathways, but hopefully you guys can figure it out.
Yeah, I brought my computer so I can show
Okay,
you
thank
the thing.
you.
I'll do grammarian.
Okay.
I'll do a Toastmaster. Davis, we need that to do it. Toastmaster. David, my mentor, was like, do Toastmaster.
On tabletop.
Somehow I got my passwords mixed up. 3 passwords. No, that's all right.
Alright, so we got some of the main roles filled out. Appreciate everyone volunteering. And if you feel the urge to volunteer for something as the week goes on, visit Easy Speak and fill out those roles.
Okay.
So we're,
Trying to look them up, but I'm not gonna get them. Okay.
does anyone have anything else before we close tonight's meeting? No? And I'll bring the gift basket next week, so I forgot the coffee here last week. Thank you everyone for a great meeting.